Hey, everybody. Oh, what's...
Busha just redeemed hydrate.
Oh, I've been told to hydrate at the very beginning of the VOD by Zazo. Thank you, Zazo. And with that, hi, everybody. Welcome to... It's more Umineko. So yeah, this is part one of a two-parter where we are going to finish the question arcs for Umineko. So, after a bit of deliberation, we decided to stream a couple of the parts of the fourth episode on Discord. And a lot has happened since the last time that we did a VOD. So I wrote up a little thing real quick here, and let's just go through it. So first, NJ confronted her aunt Kasumi and her guards, who bullied her for a while, and started ripping up Maria's notebook, which caused NJ to go Super Saiyan and murk them all using the stakes of purgatory. Also, Sakutaro was there. Then, after that, NJ confronted Beatrice and Maria in the Golden Land, telling Maria that she could resurrect Sakutaro. Beatrice denied this and read, saying that no magic other than hers could be cast in her Golden Land. Maria then made a deal with NJ that if she could resurrect Sakutaro, she would leave the Golden Land. NJ then resurrected Sakutaro, and after Maria left, Beatrice and NJ appeared in the smoking parlor in Purgatory, where Beatrice was trapped by an Acme ball and chain around her ankle. Lock her in there. I'm pretty sure, I don't know who did that. I have a sneaking suspicion that Lambda Delta did that. That feels like a very Lambda Delta thing to do. Then Burnt Castell placed Battler in the same parlor, in the smoking parlor in Purgatory, but just his body, since he was brain broken by Beatrice's dumb-ass riddle about who his mom really was. For people who don't remember, it has been a bit. The riddle was basically like, you are not, I forget Battler's mom's name, but you are not her son, basically. Which to me heavily implies that the woman that he thought was his stepmom was actually his mom. Meaning that like his dad was boinking her like while married to his like the woman that he thought was his mom. I forget her name, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Apparently that like Battler was just completely fucked up by that, which, you know, whatever. By the way, the way that he kind of was helped out by NJ in that situation was NJ was basically like, dude, you're still Rudolph's son though. So you're still the grandchild of Kinzo. So you still have a place at the table, you fucking idiot. So like, bro, it was rough. Anyway, so yeah, he was still brain broken by Beatrice's dumbass riddle about who his mom really was. To get Battler's battle back, NJ revealed that she was Battler's sister while clinging to his back. And I'll be honest with y'all, I'm kind of glad we didn't stream that, because that CG and that scene, I'm not gonna lie, I got misty. That was rough. I don't know if I would have, I don't know what would have happened if I was streaming. I already got fucked up by a couple other random scenes, man. That was, oh man. NJ like desperately clinging to her brother and being like, come back home, please. It's like, bro. Oh my God, fuck you. Anyway, after she revealed this, Battler came to his senses only to realize NJ was being killed right behind him as blood poured from NJ's body. He turned around only to find her body had vanished and Beatrice Lamayo'd. Wait, I've got it. And Beatrice Lamayo'd. So this caused Battler to swear vengeance. And then the episode ended. And now, that's where we're at. So yeah, quick little recap. Let's just go ahead and get to it. We are now on tea party time. If I remember correctly, make sure... Asumu, thank you, Jan. Let me know. I'm pretty sure this is where we're at. But yeah, I think we're doing tea party time. Tea party time. Asumu and Kyrie were named after Ragnarok Online spells, which were apparently incompatible with one another until a patch changed that. Interesting. That is an interesting... They were incompatible. Fascinating. All right, tea party time. Let's do it. All right, so I've been told that I need to think a lot, which is tough for me because I usually don't. But yeah, I am going to be taking a lot of breaks, breaking things down, breaking down, just talking, just figuring shit out. What happened to that clock? I don't have a clue what's going on. Please, someone explain in a way even I can understand. What happened yesterday? I was in the kitchen of the mansion, grabbing some food without permission. If you open up that massive business class refrigerator, you can find anything. You can eat and drink as much as you like. Even if the typhoon didn't clear up for a week, I'd have more than enough to eat. With wine in one hand, I was helping myself to some dry-cured ham. I wondered just how expensive this wine and ham are. You ingredients are out of luck, too. If only you'd had Goda-san to cook you, you could have been reborn as much more incredible food. I looked at the clock. Very soon it would be midnight. October 5th, the second day, would end. The insane October 4th, yesterday, seemed like a lie. That's how much nothing had happened after that test thing. Nothing happened. No phone call came, and no letters came. No person came, and no one attacked me. Nothing happened at all. I want to start demanding a refund on all the time and energy that tension stole from me. Because after that, for an entire day, a full 24 hours, nothing happened. So surely, nothing's going to happen now. Who is that? I'm assuming this is Battler, which would be really fucked up because is this what happened? Okay, so to fill folks in, one of my theories is that this is basically, I think one of the episodes actually happened. And I think I want to say it was like episode 1, but part of me is like, well, maybe it's a combination of a couple of different chapters, but I think that there is a definite version of events that canonically happened. And I think a few of the events of the game are kind of incompatible. So if you believe it, if you believe the game's lies. So to me, my gut says like episode 1 was real. That really happened. But then a bunch of people died, and I think Battler was the only person who survived, which means that for a period of time during the storm, Battler was just trying to survive on the island by himself, which makes me think that this is real. This actually happened. I don't know about this test thing because the test was the thing that happened in episode 4, but that might also be a thing inside of Battler's head as he's trying to suss out the events of the game. So right now I'm thinking that this might be a literary technique to tie the events to episode 4, but I think canonically it's probably more the case that Battler is just surviving on the island after everyone's been killed. Oh yeah, because it wasn't just Battler that died. Sorry, I'm not looking at chat. What's her name also survived. Is it Ava? I think it was Ava. Yeah, Ava. A full 24 hours ago, Beatrice called me to the spot in front of the mansion's entrance. There, I was given a strange test to determine the successor to the headship or whatever. I gave a serious answer in my own way, but it somehow hadn't meshed with the other side. Beatrice got pissed for no reason and fell silent. I yelled at her to try and say something, but she gave no answer. When I asked where Maria was, She just told me to go to the chapel and left. To tell the truth, it was an anticlimax. No matter what kind of weird test you give, at least tell me whether I've passed or failed. Are you trying to say thanks for coming? Your results will be mailed to you later or something? Quit messing with me. Anyway, I then headed to the chapel. After failing their tests, both Georgianiki and Jessica were killed. I couldn't let Maria get killed too. Also, I might get a chance to catch some person trying to kill her. As a little kid, I often heard from Jessica that you'd get in trouble if you went near the chapel. So I'd never been there, but at least I knew where it was. I couldn't find any trace of a person there, but there was a key bundle lying in front of the door. I thought this might be someone telling me to open the door, but after trying all the keys, I found that none of them fit. I also called Maria's name, but there was no answer whatsoever. I searched around the chapel, but there was a limit to what I could do in the pitch black with just a flashlight. I realized that this key bundle might be a set of master keys, which could make it possible to open the door to the mansion. I found no sign of Maria, so I returned to the mansion. The mansion was wrapped in silence and in a horrible stench. However, it's amazing how good humans are at adapting. The inside of the mansion must still be wrapped up in that smell. Oh yeah, that's right. Which one was it? What episode was it? Was it 2? Where Battler got brain broken again because he's a big dumb idiot. And he spent like the little bit right before Beatrice like resurrected, like getting plastered. And Goda was like, "What, bro? Like what? Come on, quit it. What are we doing?" Yeah, that was up too. Yeah. My boy's got a. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand, but like. That is twice where this shit's happened and then he just started to drink. It makes me think that he might have like a larger like drinking problem. I don't know. Y'all picking up on that? Genji, Goda. I get Genji and Goda confused. I wonder why. However, it's amazing how good humans are at adapting. The inside of the mansion must still be wrapped up in that smell. Nose blind to fucking corpses now. Jan, one of the first things Battler said at the start of Ep 1 was that he wanted to try underage drinking. Cool. I mean, to be fair, that is an extremely Battler thing to do. But I guess if you were caught in this situation, you might as well just... I mean, fuck it. Who cares? Let's drink underage. All my friends are dead. However, I grew completely used to it and stopped minding it. It didn't seem any worse than any old house where someone had burned some meat. Ugh. At first, I was bewildered by the stench, but I decided to head to the dining hall for the time being. Oh, right. And found those corpses that were so pitiful Goda-san and the rest had hesitated to speak of them in detail. All right. Okay, now we're getting confirmation the folks are dead. So, okay. Oof. Natsuhi, her corpse was found in the dining hall. About half of her head was destroyed. It's probably reasonable to assume that she was murdered with a powerful gun or something similar. However, the witnesses don't believe she was killed with a gun. Her corpse was found in the dining hall. About half her head was destroyed. It's probably reasonable to assume that she was murdered with a powerful gun or something similar. Oh, it's all... Okay. George, his corpse was found in the Rose Garden Arbor. There was a single hole right in the center of his forehead. It's probably reasonable to assume he was shot with a gun or something similar. It's a brand of humiliation marking his defeat to Gap. And That's the same. The same. Same. All right. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like the endings to all of these is like, I don't think it's because Ava died, but so my larger theory is that the timeline that NJ came from is the real timeline. That's the one that's a continuation of like the first episode. Also, I don't think I've mentioned it, but I guess if we're in theory talk, I want to say that like Kinzo has been billed as like this magician and this person who's able to like, he's like, what is he, a master summoner or something? Yeah, goldsmith, sorcerer, summoner, summoning ability. However, he is very mismatched, excelling in some areas while fatally lacking as a sorcerer in others. Magic with enough power to reheat a cup of black tea may be beyond him, but he's capable of summoning demons with magic strong enough to boil the sea. The source of his magic is found in arithmetic miracles, and his magical compendium is unique. Later on, even Beatrice took note of this and rearranged her own compendium accordingly. See, one of my other theories is that one of the things I've been struggling with this story is like, what is the motive for whoever's doing this? And part of me wants to be like, I mean, it's money, you know, it's a legend. Whoever's doing this is obviously out for Kinzo's gold. But then I realized that like there is also something else that's happening here. And that is, I think the reason I think Kinzo might be doing all of this. I mean, it's obvious that he was behind it in a lot of ways. But I think the reason that he's doing this at all is because he has this idea that he wants to maintain his family's name. He wants them to be powerful in terms of like magic and their magical ability. And I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, well, a really great way of doing that would be to kill them all under mysterious circumstances. I think that one of the things that as you get older, you kind of struggle with is how you'll be remembered and if you'll be remembered at all. And I think that one of the intriguing things about Kinzo is that I think he knows this, and I think he has a kind of fucked up way to get people to remember him and his family. And that is by killing them in a very fucked up way, in a mystery that will continue for years and years, that people will be thinking about, that will be commemorated in a video game called Umineko when they cry. Anyway, that's kind of my working theory right now. Anyway, I will shut up. It was the remains of Aunt Natsuhi and the others who'd become the first victims. Half of each head had been completely split open. Also, did you notice that now they're just saying, oh yeah, by the way, it's probably a gun. They were probably killed with a gun. Although people say that it wasn't a gun, but it's like, bro, I think it was a gun. And it was so gruesome that even without knowing a thing about examining corpses, I could say that they were 100% dead. And on top of that, the remaining halves of their faces were left like normal, so it was even easy to identify them. Really convenient corpses these were. Is it weird that I kind of like this battler? Where he's just like, fuck. Rather than the fucking doofus. Fucking goofus over here. Where's Gallant, bud? That's a joke for all my highlights readers. Y'all Christian? Anyway, ended. Can we get a poll in the chat? Who here is Christian? Oh, Gray. Yeah, that's right. First time chatter, Gray. You were absolutely right. I had totally forgotten about the bunny girls. I'm not gonna lie. I had completely forgot about them. So, thank you for that. Wonderful memory. And in addition to those 6 bodies, was one more. The 7th corpse. Oh, was Maria. Fuck. She lay next to Aunt Rosa as though sleeping alongside her. Her corpse was found in the dining hall. Battler wasn't able to make out any wounds in particular, so he assumed that she was killed by some kind of poison. The most peaceful form of invitation to the Golden Land. Oh, baby. Little baby. Shit. Wasn't Kinzo like laughing and shit? Well, her test was to... Huh. I don't know about this one, y'all. This is sketchy. I don't know about this. He said he said that she passed? Bro. I need to do a better job ingesting information. This is hard when there's so much of it. It's like being deluge. It's a deluge. Poison, huh? Damn. Yeah, you're telling me, Cuba. All right. Let's go back. No, not title back. As though sleeping alongside her, I cried at the death of an innocent young girl, and at the cruel way my dad and the rest had died. I raced through the mansion, swinging the hat stand spear, yelling, "Come out here, bastard!" But I couldn't find any trace of anyone else. Sorry, this drink is making me gassy. Thinking they might be planning to hide somewhere and attack me from behind, I went around searching for hiding places. Sometimes growing more cautious, and sometimes intentionally letting my guard down in various ways, but in the end, not even a kitten appeared. Then morning came. My tension and fatigue combined with my drowsiness, making for the worst kind of dawn. Humans are pretty incredible. Even when a murderer might be hiding somewhere, we prioritize drowsiness and fatigue over our own lives. By that time, I was starting to feel pretty ridiculous. After all, for a full 6 hours before dawn, I'd walked around the mansion yelling at the culprits to show themselves. My search had been a careful one, and I'd tired myself out and let my guard down. Even so, no one came to attack me. Basically, I lost patience with them and figured they could do whatever the hell they wanted. The boat won't come until the typhoon passes. They said on TV that it won't pass until tomorrow, so I've got another full day today. Lazing about, it lost its interest. And even though I knew it would probably make the police mad, I decided to play detective a bit. First was the dining hall, where the very first murder had occurred. The 6 who had been killed in the beginning really were pitiful. The weapon used was probably a gun. Maybe their heads were split by something powerful like a magnum bullet or a shotgun. It was a reasonable theory to hold. I mean, wasn't the gun that they were holding, wasn't that a shotgun? Did they all have shotties? Or was that a... Why do I think it's a shotgun? No, it was that, was it a rifle? Because it was like a cowboy. You're kidding. You gotta be kidding me. Yeah, sawed-off Winchester. So rifles. Okay, so I think I got fucked up because sawed off makes... I always associate that with shotguns. But sawed off. I mean, definitely the death of... I think there are two guns at play here. One is the gun that killed everybody in the dining hall, and that seems to line up more with the sawed-off rifle, the Winchesters. But the one that killed, what was his name? George. That was not a sawed-off. That looked more like... Yeah, what was that? They said it was probably a gun? Winchester. Oh my god. Ursula, no. No. Does that mean the stakes of purgatory are like knives or some shit? But how many guns are there? Were there 3? See, I feel like I threw that theory out like a while ago that the Chesters were like representative of something. But the whole idea of locking on and then shooting and then like, I don't know, just kind of tells me that it's like someone with a very good shot, very good aim or something. Wait, how many stakes of purgatory are there? Is it like 7? How many bullets are in like a Magnum? Is it 7? It's 6 in the main barrel, then 1 in the chamber? Could they be bullets? Or maybe arrows? See, I had a theory that like the stakes were just like knives or something, and then what was happening is like someone would either shoot someone and then put the stake in their head in the space so that it looked like they were staked, but really they were shot, you know? Anyway, it was a reasonable theory to hold. Compared to that, the 7th corpse, Maria, had died in a much better and cleaner way. At a glance, I could see no external wounds and didn't understand how she'd been killed. But by her mouth were traces of bubbles that she might have spat out, and it looked like a typical death by poisoning that you might see in a TV drama. Wasn't Maria called out to the chapel and given a test? So why was she in the corpse-filled dining hall, lying next to her mother, dead? Even if the cause of death was poison, who gave it to her? Her clothes weren't disturbed at all. It's hard to imagine that she was forcibly pushed down and given an injection of poison. It's probably better to assume that she was given a capsule of poison or something and made to swallow it. But compared to the scattered and violently mutilated corpses in this room, Maria's corpse was too clean. If they had a gun, they only needed to pull the trigger. But poisoning, whether by having her drink it or by an injection, would take a lot more effort. Wait a minute. Rosa was killed in the dining hall. We saw a cutscene of that, right? I swear to God, if our boy pulls a trick that he pulled in Higurashi, I'm gonna laugh pretty hard. is the reason that there's no way there's two Rosas, is there? There's just one Rosa. There's no way that like Beatrice was pretending to be Rosa on occasion. Or maybe Rosa died. Was it Rosa who died? And Beatrice became Rosa? No. No, no, I don't like that. Well, it's not that I don't like it. I think that's entertaining, but it's like, I don't, that doesn't really make sense. I'm just throwing shit out there. Hmm. Well, all I gotta say is that that's pretty fucking sad. That I wonder if that's why Beatrice was fucking pissed. And why she like killed Kinzo like instantly. Is because she knew that all of this was for nothing because Battler wasn't going to fucking figure anything out. And so she really cared about Maria. And so when they were in there joking about Maria passing the test, she was like, fuck you, and just like fucking blew him up. And then went on to spend the rest of her time with Maria, who was actively dying. But then Maria, I think, okay, so this seems to be, at the very least, there's evidence of poison now. There's evidence of poison. Do you think Rosa poisoned the candy? Do you think Rosa fucking poisoned the candy that she was gonna give to Maria? And Maria fucking got it from her, and then ate it, nah. She probably was poisoned and then went, oh, that's even sadder though, to think that she was like actively dying and the last thing she wanted to do was hold on to her mom. Oh, man. Oh, this is fucked. Anyway. Oh, that's sad. Because remember the last thing that we saw of her, I don't know about the time. I don't know how the time is like sort of making sense. For me, ever since Battler like got out of episode 1, he's been fucked up and like been kind of split between like a couple like different personalities. I think one is the one that's helping NJ and like doing all that stuff. And I also think that that alternate like persona of Battler's helped NJ get out of that scrape that she was just in with her aunt. And the stakes of purgatory. Actually, yeah, the stakes of purgatory would be bullets in that situation, because if my theory holds up, that's how Battler was killing everybody from a distance. He could have been close quartered, like stabbing them though, but they were armed. I think he was shooting them from cover. And if that's the case, then those are rifle bullets. Those are bullets. The fucking stakes of purgatory are bullets. And not just like regular bullets, they're rifle bullets. So anyway, okay, if that's the case, then like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, because Battler's still fucked up about what's going on here. Because he's still mentally here. But in the real world, he's desperately trying to get NJ help, because NJ's been wounded. NJ got fucked up in the altercation, I think. Maybe someone backstabbed them literally. But Rose's house was the one people were warned to avoid on Halloween. Why? Wait, are you fucking around? Is that real? That's a joke. Okay. For a second, I was like, that's real? And then, no, I know. There's a delay. You gotta, yeah. Okay. All right, that's sad. Moving on. If they had a gun, they only needed to pull the trigger, but poisoning, whether by having her drink it or by an injection, would take a lot more effort. Considering the culprit's brutal nature, you'd think Maria's death alone was given special treatment. Why was only Maria given a sleep-like death? True, being killed is always a pitiful thing, but for some reason Maria's death alone seemed more very courteous to me. And that makes me think, I mean, it was definitely someone who cared about her. Either that or someone who cared about children. Do you think it was Battler? Do you think Battler killed Maria? Because he figured it out? And now he's kind of like mentally blocking it? Do you think Maria killed everybody? That would make a lot of sense with a lot of shit. Maria could have killed everybody and then herself, it's true. But then again, I don't think she would realize that she's killing herself, though. Because I don't think Maria would make an active choice to kill herself. Then again, I could be wrong. I don't know. Anyway, both of Maria's hands were joined on her chest as though the dead person had put them there herself. Did Maria do that herself before dying? Isn't this usually something done by someone else after the person dies? As though sleeping with her mother, whose head was half crushed, Maria dozed in peace. For some reason, that contrast really bugged me, including the direct cause. It's probably safe to say that Maria's death is shrouded in mystery. And more than anything else, the biggest mystery of this dining hall was the pitfalls. The pitfalls that both Uncle Krause's group and Goda-san's had mentioned. After the first 6 were killed, 5 more fell through pitfalls and were captured. What are pitfalls? Those things that suddenly open and you fall through them, right? The room had a solid floor with a carpet that looked dignified, if a bit worn out. No matter how you looked at it, it was a single piece. If a pitfall had opened up, there would have been a seam just in that place. And if there had been some trick like a pitfall, wouldn't it creak when you walked on it? No matter how much I walked around, feeling the carpet, I just couldn't imagine that a pitfall was hidden there. Anyway, it'd be one thing if a single person fell, but a full 5 people did. By putting together everyone's stories, each one of them had fallen from a different location. So at the very least, there had been 5 separate places with pitfalls. So what does this mean? Was this room actually made with pitfalls across the entire floor? So by pushing a button, you could open up a pitfall in the location of your choice? Some kind of contraption like that? That kind of ridiculous mechanism would be surprising even in a ninja mansion. But if Dad and the rest had heard about this, I wonder if they'd say, I wouldn't put it past Grandfather to do it, to make it. At any rate, I didn't learn anything more from the dining hall. Do the pitfalls not exist? Or do they exist, but I just can't find them, amateur that I am? I can't say for sure. Since they claimed that the pitfalls were there, I can't ignore them, even if I can't find them. I think it's a mixture of both. I think that definitely something happened to them because they were seeing a bunch of magical shit. And definitely there seems to be a layer of like magical thinking on top of everything. When we already have confirmation that like shit did not go down the way that we think that it did. Even Kyrie was like, I don't know what's going on. Everything's fucking weird. And she's so normally cool, calm, and collected. I think they were drugged. That's what I was beginning to say with Maria. Because, like, we already have confirmation that someone has, like, some kind of poison. And it might be that Maria just took an adult, like, amount of it, you know? Like, maybe she wasn't poisoned. Maybe she was given absinthe and she choked and died. The foam on her mouth seems to indicate something, but it was like foam, though. When you see foam on the mouth, it's like, it makes me think that she drowned. Because you're aspirating. Aspirating water. I forget how exactly that works, but yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of ways that they could have been gone, then that could have happened. But yeah, what I was saying is, like, I think it's a mixture of the two. I think that their senses were being augmented by some poison, maybe some, you know, something, some drug. I think they were drugged. But in addition to that, I think that there is a secret, like, hatch that got them to Kuadorian. And I think that hatch is, I think that's the one that we were talking about on the book club. I think that it is, I think that the portrait for Beatrice, I think that there's a secret passage behind there, which would allow people who are under the influence of a drug to be whispered to, and people think like, oh my God, it's Beatrice talking to me, even though it's just someone beyond the painting, just behind it. But who is pretending to be Beatrice? That makes me think it's Rosa. But, like, I don't know. Because hasn't Beatrice said ki-he-he-he? That makes me think it's Maria. Unless I'm wrong. Wait, did she say that? Anyway. The next ones to be killed were Jessica and George Aniki. I discovered George Aniki when I'd been called out for my test. He had been called out to the arbor in the rose garden and probably shot in the forehead with a gun. Oops. And nothing of value was lost. Okay. Sorry. They're taking the trash out. I'm sorry. Does anyone out there like George? Did anyone in here like George? Jessica had been called to her own room on the second floor of the mansion. The door to her room was locked, but that wasn't a problem at all since I had the master key. Inside the room, it was horrible. But after the dining hall, I was used to corpses, so I'd built up a bit of an immunity. The phone receiver was loose and dangling. Had she been killed while still on the phone with me? Jessica was leaning against the wall right next to it, with half of her head split open. Her corpse was found in her room on the second floor of the mansion. About half of her head was destroyed. It's probably reasonable to assume she was murdered with a powerful gun or something similar. She was smashed by her own attack due to George's counter-offensive specialized barrier. As far as I could tell by glancing at the scene, it looked as though she'd been killed while on the phone. In that case, had the culprit been right there before her eyes? I hadn't gotten that impression when listening to Jessica's voice over the phone. I'm pretty sure Jessica said, "They got me." It's probably best to assume that she'd already received a fatal wound at the time of the phone call. That's right. And she also said this. When you come, Battler, I'll be a corpse with half of its head split open. Yeah, that's what she said. From what I could tell by looking at Jessica's corpse, there were no wounds on her other than the damage to her head. Could she haven't had an injury serious enough to make her prepared for death and then died halfway through the phone call? But the way she'd talked on the phone made me think that she'd escaped harm for the time being. You shouldn't be able to have a casual conversation over the phone if a culprit's right before your eyes. So did the culprit come in part way through the phone call and kill Jessica? No, that can't be right. After all, this room was locked. Wait, that doesn't tell me anything. If the culprit stole a master key from one of the victims, locking the door would be meaningless. But she had no external wounds other than her head. In that case, should I assume that the fatal wound she was prepared to die from and the actual external wound that damaged her head were two different things? And that both of them were made to the same part of the body? I see we're getting little hints. We're getting little tidbits of info about that thing I mentioned earlier about shooting someone in the head with a gun and then putting a stake in it to hide the gun wound, the gunshot wound. Because that's exactly what happened with George. Shot with a very specific small, I want to say small caliber bullet. Maybe even with a soft bullet so there's no exit wound. In other words, Jessica was struck severely to the head and received an incredibly bad wound. Then she called me and either lost consciousness or died while on the phone. Then the culprit came and damaged her again, something like that. After being called to this room, Jessica was attacked by the culprit and received a serious injury. Then the culprit thought she'd been killed and went away for the time being. You know, this game would be so much different if we were all playing it like as soon as it came out. If we were all like actively like trying to figure it out as it happened and all the fucking theories and shit going around. Even having those theories like put into the game. God damn it. That would have been so cool. Fuck. What was I doing when this game came out? I need to figure that out. Gail is saying, yeah, I figured. God, that must have been cool. We got to talk to Gail about how that felt. Gail, I am officially jealous of you. It's got to be like how I felt when I was playing PT and like people were actively like, that's the thing that I feel like is lost in the sauce when it comes to the conversation around PT is like people like to think of it as like, oh, it's a really good horror game. But like, no, it was a really good mystery. It was a really good, really well set up mystery game with a really weird esoteric puzzle that even after it was finished and the secret was found, people were trying to like retroactively figure out what the fuck happened, like how they figured it out and figuring out how to do it, how to like unlock the ending consistently. Like the mystery elements of PT have really kind of fallen away with time. And it's kind of a fucking bummer. That's one of the reasons why OD is very fascinating to me, because it seems like Kojima really understands like why PT was interesting. One of the things that was so crazy about that game is that all the messages that were in like different languages and shit. And so it got people of different cultures like translating shit on the fly and like trying to figure out, oh, this means this and then this means this. The way you solve the final puzzle, like the steps that you go through, were in multiple different languages. And so you wouldn't be able to figure it out unless you were like actively translating it, like with people. I think that could have been done better, but it was a demo. It was like a very small thing. It's just fucking cool. I'm excited for Kojima's next thing. Anyway, I need to play Death Stranding 2. I keep forgetting I bought that twice. I have it on PC and on PlayStation, although I'm not really playing my PlayStation anymore. PlayStation. You guys fucked up big time. Then the culprit thought she'd been killed and went away for the time being. But Jessica miraculously started breathing again and called me with what would become her dying message. This right here. This is what happened to Ava. This is what happened to Ava. Because of the bullet that was being used. Oh my God. Is that why? Oh my God. Is that why Ava had a fucking... Was Ava temperamentally a different person, not just because of grief, but because she basically got a lobotomy? She basically got shot in the head and survived? Is the Ava that was living with NJ? But what kind of wound would have... All right, let's keep going. Lobotomy theory? I don't know about that. I think... Because that's one of the things that I love about Red Dead Redemption 2. Is like... I saw a couple people talking about this, but when I played it... for anyone who doesn't know, there's this like theory about like serial killers and like murderers in general and people with like behavioral problems that they suffered a brain injury early in life. And if you look it up, a shocking amount of people who turned out to be like serial killers and murderers in general, a shocking amount of them had traumatic brain injuries as a kid. And it's like, one of the things that was really interesting about Red Dead Redemption 2 is that I think that that game was made with the idea that what's his name, the leader of the gang. There's a moment where they get into a really serious crash, and they flip the fucking Dutch. They flip the cart that they're, or they flip a carriage that they're in, and Dutch is fucked up, and he gets like a really fucked up head injury. But he's like getting up and walking around, and he's like totally fine. Bro, he's like, brain damaged? Does he know? Does he brain damaged? Oh no. Anyway, but yeah, you can read that game as like Dutch getting a traumatic brain injury, and like his mood swings later on become like really, like that's the start of everything. That's the start of, like, a lot of people look at it as like, oh yeah, he's having a bunch of machinations and they're all kind of failing. And that's fine, but he's always had machinations and they've always kind of failed. It's just after that moment, he starts getting really pissed off when they don't turn out right. He starts getting really angry at people who aren't on his side anymore. And like, it can work both ways, but I like to think like it really kind of makes the game more interesting if it's like he's not. Anyway, I don't mean to like go on a tangent about that, but like I just thought that was fascinating. I really that theory is very interesting. Although I can understand why people would be mad about it, because like it kind of takes his agency away, his agency to be a complete and utter fucking bastard, and it kind of makes him more. Kind of makes you have empathy for him a little bit. Kind of makes you sympathize with him, because he's not like, it's not like he wanted to do that. Although, anyway, you know what I mean. It's kind of like Higurashi. But Higurashi did it really well. Anyway, sometimes horrible people simply are people. Wild. wild. What a wild thing to say. I can't believe you've said this. I'm fucking around. No, yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyway, but Jessica miraculously started breathing again and called me with what would become her dying message. See, if this happened to Ava in episode 1, because remember, she was lying on the bed and she had that like hole in her head and people were like, oh my God. But like, I don't know. She didn't really seem like, see, at first I thought she was faking it, but like, it's very possible that someone attacked her, thought they had killed her, but she was actually like breathing and alive. So anyway, then the culprit realized that they'd failed to kill her and rushed back to deliver the final blow after Jessica fell unconscious from massive blood loss. That seems to add up, more or less, except for how Jessica was able to accurately predict the nature of the final blow. And there was one more thing that bugged me about the phone call from Jessica. Hey, could Jessica see what happened to George out the window? Because if Jessica could see what happened to George and who killed him by smashing his head open, then that's how she would know that she's going to have her head, like, bashed open. Jessica had said this. George Nissan's done for too. Oh, okay. That was an instant death. Oh, okay. So yeah. She said it almost as though she'd witnessed George Aniki being killed. Okay. Well, yep. But while you certainly could see the rose garden from the window in Jessica's room, and you could even see the roof of the arbor where George Aniki had been summoned, it was very far away. Add on the fact that it was night, the night of a typhoon. It's very hard to imagine that she was able to witness everything that happened by the arbor from this window. Does that mean she saw someone else? Also, George didn't have his head split. So how would she know that? Because George's head wasn't bashed in. And more than anything else, Jessica left before George Aniki. So she shouldn't have known that George Aniki's test took place by the arbor. Why did Jessica know that George Aniki had been killed? Also, during my search of the entire mansion, I found Kyrie-san's corpse as well. Also, I apologize again if I'm like taking my time going through this, but I have been assured that this is what people want to watch for, and they like reading, hearing my theories and discussing it and stuff. It is Jan's fault. If you have a problem with it, take it up with Jan. Her corpse was found in a guest room deep within the mansion. There was a single hole right in the center of her forehead. It's probably reasonable to assume she was shot with a gun or something similar. A demon stake was buried in the hole in her forehead, but it's hard to imagine that this was the cause of death. I didn't miss. I missed on purpose to tease her. Yeah. Okay. So already killed very similarly to George. It was in one of the old guest rooms at the back of the first floor. In the past, before the construction of the guest house, the relatives had spent the night in these. Kyrie-san's situation matched Jessica's perfectly. She'd probably been killed during her phone call with me. The receiver was hanging untidily, and Kyrie-san lay crumpled in that corner. But the way she had been killed was very different from Jessica. Her head wasn't smashed. Instead, A stake with an occult design was buried into her forehead. It was so gruesome, so I pulled it out. After pulling it out, I realized this might get me in trouble with the police later. So, a little too late, I set it down by Kirie-san's side. Its tip was sharp and stained with enough blood that it must have penetrated fully to the brain. I didn't know what kind of metal it was made of, but it was about as heavy as a paperweight. Certainly, if you were stabbed all out with something like this, it might cause a terrible wound. I probably knew what that stake meant. It's one of those. The style of killing from the fourth twilight onwards in the witch's epitaph. It's probably that gouge with a stake and kill thing. However, a human skull is very firm. No matter how much someone mustered their strength, could it really have been pierced so neatly? No. By my reasoning, this stake wasn't the cause of death, but had just been used to damage the corpse after death. See, that's what I'm saying. She was probably killed with a gun or something like George Aniki, and the stake had been stuck into the hole left by the gun. I fucking called that shit. Thinking of it that way makes it easier to accept. But was Kirie-san really killed with a gun? As she said on the phone, even though she was holed up inside a locked room, Kirie-san was being attacked. In fact, this room had been locked. Also, she mentioned a golden thread or something flying in and attacking her. In fact, there were 4 places around Kirie-san's corpse with holes that could have been caused by some kind of attack. But a golden thread attacked her. Through the keyhole? I looked at the door from Kirie-san's perspective. If it had been one of those old keyholes you see in old mystery movies, where you can peek through the other side, then it would have clearly been possible to stick something through it. But even though the doors in this mansion were old-fashioned, the locks were the familiar average cylinder style that you could find in any normal house. In other words, they weren't constructed in a way that would let you penetrate through them. So no matter how thin an object you might try to stick through the keyhole, it's unthinkable that something penetrated through the outside and attacked. A cylinder lock. And a keyhole? But despite that, Kirie-san definitely said that something like a golden thread had flown in through the keyhole, spun around while aiming for her, and attacked her. A golden thread attacking through a keyhole. I couldn't understand what it meant at all. But even so, Kirie-san probably predicted that I wouldn't be able to understand all this. And it wasn't just Kirie-san. Jessica said it over the phone too. No, since the very beginning, from the time we talked with Goda-san and Kumasawa-san and got the phone call from Uncle Krause's group, everyone has said the same consistent thing. Grandfather summoned witches and demons and is killing people with magic. They'd been shown that right before their eyes. These weren't tricks or fakes. There was no choice but to believe it. With one voice, they had said all that. They had all said that. When the mystery woman calling herself Beatrice appeared, even I had pretty much believed that she was a real witch and might start summoning goat monsters right and left. So, I got the vibe that the goat men, is it possible that, okay, so I'm kind of adjusting my theory a little bit, because to me, it seems that in order to have the goat men and stuff, do you think? They kept saying the goat men were stupid. Are the goat men just goats? Is everybody tripping fucking balls and the goat men are just goats? And Kinzo is just like, ah, yes, these are my fucking, you know, dude, like, very buff goats. Did Kraus punch a goat? I think Kraus punched a goat. That'd be fucking funny. The golden thread thing makes me think that in order to get into one of the doors, they used a thread to unlock the door. But how would that make sense in the other situations? A thread. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, a key could be gold and go through the keyhole, but I'm thinking about the thread. Like, what is making Kyrie think about a thread? That it's coming after her. A golden thread. Is it like maybe a whip or something? But a whip wouldn't kill you. What could kill you and looks like a thread? I don't know. I'll give it more thought. Gold wire like a bent hanger? Yeah, maybe. When the mystery woman calling herself Beatrice appeared, even I had pretty much believed that she was a real witch and might start summoning goat monsters right and left. However, after being left alone for a whole day, my feeling of tension had faded completely. I was now able to think that something so stupid definitely couldn't be true. Did they lose their heads a little in an extraordinary situation where their lives were exposed to danger? Bro, it's Kyrie. I don't think she would do that. That's your mom, bro. Probably. And mistakenly think that a witch was attacking them with magic. But multiple people gave the same kind of testimony, and on top of that, none of their opinions conflicted with each other. If it had just been a single statement, I'd be able to suspect that they just didn't see what they thought they saw. But doing that now is pretty difficult. This is a great tea party, by the way. Then, right next to the back door, I found Uncle Kraus with his head half smashed. His corpse was found in a guest room deep within the mansion. About half of his head was destroyed. It's probably reasonable to assume that he was murdered with a powerful gun or something similar. A demon stake was buried into the damaged area. No one can escape from the Chiester's golden arrows. So golden arrow with a thread. Arrow. Well, also no one can escape them. Kyrie did. So that's a lie right there. These aren't like robots, are they? There aren't robots here, are they? Kinzo didn't have like actual like robots. Are the Chiester sisters fucking like Roombas with a crossbow bolted onto them? Are they actually fucking robots, dude? Because they were talking about all that like system stuff and all that shit. Did he convince some people that they were like playing a game? bro. What? Anyway. Then, right next to the back door, I found Uncle Kraus with his head half smashed. Even though he'd escaped the dungeon of Kuadorian and somehow made it this far by a secret underground passage, he had been killed. Wait, how does Battler know about Kuadorian? Did they talk about that in this chapter? In this episode? When did Battler find out about Kuadorian? What? The phone calls? Okay. Did they call it Kuadorian? Did Kyrie tell him that it was called Kuadorian? He's like, Battler, I'm about to die. We were just in this place. It's called Kuadorian. Anyway. She said everything? She said Kuadorian. Okay, all right. The reason I ask is because, and I'm being a little incredulous, is because this would be cool if this was a subtle way of saying, like, no, Battler still knows. Like, he's retaining some of the information that he had from previous loops. It's just he's trying to deny it, but he can't fully deny it, you know? Anyway. Does Battler know? Does he know? Even though he'd escaped the dungeon of Kuadorian and somehow made it this far by a secret underground passage, he had been killed. Well, trace his steps back. Find the underground passage. Buried into the gruesome cross-section of his half-crushed head was a stake with an occult design, like the one that had been buried into Kyrie-san's forehead. And in this situation, it was very hard to imagine that this stake was the weapon used. He had been killed with a powerful gun, like the 6 in the dining hall, and after death, had been jabbed with a stake like Kyrie-san. I wonder if the golden threads that Kyrie-san spoke of attacked Uncle Kraus too. Does there exist some kind of tool, like an endoscope, that's very thin, that can be moved about at will? And that can also attack people? No way, I've never heard of anything like that. But even so, if this fact had been revealed to one of the relatives, maybe they'd say, I wouldn't put it past grandfather to make it. Since I can't deny the existence of Golden Thread X that can be moved at will and attack people, I can either accept that this mysterious weapon exists, or else I'll have to accept that this was a murder committed with magic. To find the next corpse, I had to go out through the back door and search around outside a bit. Behind the mansion, in the wild-grown bushes that were almost swallowed up by the forest, there was something like an old well. And right next to it were Dr. Nanjo and Shannon Chan's corpses. Nanjo. His corpse was found behind the mansion. About half of his head was destroyed. It's probably reasonable to assume that he was murdered with a powerful gun or something similar. A demon stake had fallen near the body. Her corpse was found behind the mansion. About half of her head was destroyed. It's probably reasonable to assume she was... The witnesses at least realized that the stake wasn't what killed her. Both corpses had their heads smashed, and though they weren't stuck in, there were stakes lying next to each damaged head. Each corpse was atrocious, but having to look directly at Shannon Chan's lovely face, which had been half blown away, was very painful. Then there was the well. I'd heard that inside it was a secret underground passage to the mysterious mansion Kuadorian. By this time, I'd begun to think that Beatrice and her accomplices might have used this underground passage and left for Kuadorian. Even though there had apparently been at least 10 of them, I hadn't seen a trace of anyone. It seemed very likely that they'd already escaped to a different location. There's the typhoon. They can't go out to sea. It goes the same for the forest. There's no way they could traverse such a deep, uncultivated forest on foot. In that case, they had only one place to go. the mysterious hidden mansion, Kuadorian, through the secret underground passage at the bottom of the well. By this time, I had entirely lost my fear of being killed if I happened to come across the enemy. Don't fuck with me. This time I'll storm into your mansion. What the hell? Chickshaw. Damn it. The old well had a firm cover on it. The cover was an iron grill. The gaps between the bars were perhaps 20 centimeters across. You could peer inside, but it really wasn't something a human could pass through. If I had known better, I wouldn't have thought it anything more than a simple cover to prevent falls. But from what Kirie-san had told me, I knew that its purpose was to prevent intruders from entering the secret underground passage in its depths. But the cover was extremely firm and rigid, and no matter how much I pushed or pulled, I couldn't even get close to opening it. I couldn't find any obvious lock. It might be sealed with some mechanism, but no matter how much I investigated it, I couldn't find anything to release it. The biggest piece of information Kirie-san had tried to give me, gambling her final moments, was the underground passage in this well. Don't think I'll be stopped by something like this cover. I'll smash it to bits. I'll search for a tool. I had an idea. After all, I had seen the various tools in the gardening shed when we locked Goda and Kumasawa-san in there. But the shutter to the gardening shed was locked. On top of that, the key was with Goda-san, who was dead on the inside. In other words, this gardening shed was a closed room. There's no way to open it from the outside. I mean, you could climb up and through the window, right? In that case, I've got to break the shutter. There has to be a tool for that somewhere. Kind of feels like I'm going in circles here. Then, while searching for that, I learned that the source of the stench that had permeated the mansion this whole time was the underground boiler room. The boiler room was dimly lit, humid, smelled horrible, and on top of all that, was incredibly creepy. But there were several large tools in there, and I managed to find a fire hatchet with some massive wire cutters. Oh my god, Kinzo burst into flames. I was just thinking, like, okay, I'll throw it out there. Is Kinzo not really in his parlor? Does he come down here a lot? Was he here when Beatrice came to talk to him? And did Beatrice just push him into the fucking boiler and that's how he caught on fire, like, spontaneously? Because he was being burned alive by Beatrice? Is that what that scene was? It was sort of like a magical overlay on top of, like, everybody having a good time, and then fucking Beatrice just comes in and fucking shoves him into the boiler? It's kind of fucking hardcore. But there were several large tools in here, and I managed to find a fire hatchet and some massive wire cutters. And grandfather's corpse. His body was found as a burnt corpse in the underground boiler room's incinerator. No evidence of a struggle was found inside the incinerator, so it's probably reasonable to assume that he was burned after his murder. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes, the dead to the dead. I mean, sure, but like... I don't know about all that. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Maybe he was killed in the other way, and yeah, whatever. I could be wrong. And grandfather's corpse. No, strictly speaking, I should probably say that I found a burnt corpse of a person who was probably grandfather. Someone's corpse had been stuffed into the blazing fires of the boiler. However, by coincidence, I was able to notice the number of toes on the corpse. Both feet had 6 toes, like a Maine Coon cat. That's right. I think I heard it from Dad some time ago. Something about grandfather having polydactyly with extra toes. According to old Ushirimiya family tradition, it seems that those with extra fingers or toes had some kind of good fortune and were treated as a good omen. Huh. Interesting. That is interesting. Huh. So people would be more... So people would be more likely to believe in good things happening to Kinzo. Huh. And because of that, grandfather was selected to be this successor or something. Oh, okay. But I wonder if I can be certain this is grandfather's body just from the number of toes. After all, grandfather was supposed to be the leader of the group of culprits. I didn't have a clue why he'd get stuffed in a boiler in a place like this and die. A mysterious corpse, burning and spitting out a terrible stench amid the flames. If it really was grandfather. Did that mean that the leader of the group of culprits wasn't grandfather, but that Beatrice after all? Grandfather was used because he was convenient and was then thrown away? Unfortunately, it didn't look like I'd be given a chance to hear grandfather's side of the story. Now that I had obtained a tool, I thought about rushing to take on the cover to the well, but I decided to break the shutter to the gardening shed first. I had plenty of time to kill anyway. I figured I should check on the condition of Goto-san's and Kumasawa-san's corpses. I hit the shutter with the hatchet, breaking into it, stuck the wire cutter into the crack, and scissored it around, opening a hole. Then I faced Goto-san and Kumasawa-san's corpses once more. This might be interesting. Oh, where's your boy? Oh. Huh. His corpse was found in the Rose Garden storehouse. It's assumed that he was hung by the neck after being shot in the forehead. They put ropes around their own necks. That can be pretty interesting experience now and then. What? That can be a pretty interesting experience now and then. Her corpse was found in the Rose Garden storehouse. It's assumed that she was hung by the neck after being shot in the forehead. As long as I could construct a closed room murder, nothing else mattered. Huh. Nothing else mattered. As long as I could construct a closed room murder. So one of them did it? Maybe Kumasawa? Wait. Kumasawa. Yeah. Kumasawa would be... Yeah, what's her like alt? What's her when she's Norded? She's Virgilia. But who would Gap be? Is Gap Rosa? Or is Gap? Well, no, that doesn't make any sense. Ugh. Whatever. Then I faced Goto-san and Kumasawa's corpses once more. Oh. Yeah, sorry. You wanted me to, Jan, you wanted me to talk and, kind of suss stuff out. So I thought that was the point. Okay. As a result, I learned a new fact. First, they had not died by being hung by the neck. Both of their feet were solidly on the floor, and on both of their foreheads were signs that they had been shot with a gun. The loop seemed longer than a normal noose. On top of that, the length was different on each to match the height of each person. In other words, the lengths had just been adjusted so that both Goda-san, who was tall, and Kumasawa-san, who was short, had their feet solidly but barely on the ground. Also, while the ropes carried both of their weights as their heads lolled, both of them had some slack below the knees. This meant that if they stood up with these loops around their necks, they would have had some extra length. In other words, these loops wouldn't have been that great for hanging people. The direct cause of death was probably a shot to the head. It was gruesome. Their insides were still dripping out from those gaping holes, stained their faces a deep red. It's probably best to assume that they were then hung, pulled up, and left exposed like that. If they'd been shot with a gun, they probably would have. Would probably have been lying down on the floor. If that had been the case, you wouldn't have been able to tell that they were dead even if you were peeking through the window. The mountain of stuff would have gotten in the way, so if they'd been lying down, they would have been hidden. To make the deaths of these two known to the rest of us who couldn't go inside, they would have had to hang them like this, making it visible from the outside. Was this done to get back at us for thinking that those two would surely be safe if we left the key with them? I wonder where the shutter key we gave Goda-san, which should have ensured his safety, is now. That key was in the pocket of his trousers. The gardening shed key had been kindly left there, and even the plate was attached. In other words, the gardening shed had been a closed room after all. And that gave rise to another question, because this can't be explained by a hanging. If they didn't commit suicide, then those nooses were set up by the culprit. It might have been possible to shoot them through the window, but it's really unthinkable that someone could have tied two loops to the beam from the outside. And furthermore, there's no way they could have lifted up the heavy corpses. In other words, to do all of this, they would have had to go inside. But the key was in Goda-san's pocket, and the shutter had been locked. In other words, the gardening shed had been a closed room. Yeah, I think Kumasawa did it. I think Kumasawa shot Goda, strung him up, strung herself up, shot herself. Look at the ground, Battler. I want to see if, a gun had been dropped. And if a gun hadn't been dropped, are there any marks of, scrapes or anything where it was, dragged? Jan, the reason I bring that up is you might not reach my estimated cutoff point tonight. That is not a bad thing. It just means you have more time next session. Okay. Yeah, let me know. Yeah, let me. How far off am I? Yeah, cosmic. Yeah. In other words, Koda-san had said that there was only one key to this shutter. But is it possible that there was a copy? I don't know, is it? And that the culprit was in possession of it? If we're allowed to theorize that there actually was a duplicate of the gardening storehouse key and that Koda-san just didn't know about it, then this isn't even close to a closed room. But why is that, despite the fact that almost all of the other corpses were shot to death and left almost completely alone? Just these two corpses were intentionally hoisted up. I couldn't help but feel something a bit odd about that. After this, if we assume that the mystery corpse in the boiler was grandfather's, The deaths of 16 people have been confirmed. There were 18 people on this island. I'm here, and there are 16 corpses. Cannon-kun's corpse is the only one I haven't been able to confirm. According to Kirie-san, he had been killed while climbing out of the well and had fallen down into it. So with the well closed up like this, it's impossible to check. I tried shining a flashlight through the bars down into the darkness in the depths of the well. But it seemed that the jet black darkness had no intention of showing me its depths with a light of that level. Oh, is that what's going on with the furniture? Are they just used to being dosed, basically? Have they built up like a tolerance to the like absinthe or whatever, that like the laced fucking shit that Kinzo's been like drinking? Maybe. Because that would make sense, because they're used to it and they're acclimated to it and they're not freaking out about it. That way they're able to accomplish things which might think people who are way more fucked up by it think that they are like, they understand like the magic of it. You know what I mean? Yeah, Kinzo's keeping them addicted. Oh my god, dude. Oh, that's so fucked. Oh, I didn't even think about it like that. Kinzo's fucking drugging them and got them addicted to it. Bro, that's fucked. Kinzo's like way fucking worse than I thought. Holy shit. It's one thing to kill your whole family. But this I can't stand. I'm fucking around. Yeah, getting them fucking addicted to it when they were kids, bro. Oh my god, Ursula. Oh, that's so fucked. Oh, that's so fucked. Holy shit. Have we seen them, like, doing drugs or something? Oh, that's fucked. I think this next section might be a bit quicker because right now you're absorbing a lot and you have a lot of time to think. Oh, okay. But it seems like the jet black darkness had no intention of showing me its depths with a light of that level. It looked like I'd have to break the bars after all. Using the hatchets and things I'd dragged from the boiler room and the gardening shed, I tried breaking the cover of the well. But the metal bars were extraordinarily sturdy, and breaking them wasn't easy. I hit them with the hatchet over and over until my hands started feeling weird, and eventually gave up on breaking them. It's impossible. If they were at least wood, I might have been able to break them. But this metal... That's right, there's no way you can slice through metal bars like butter with a human strength. I can't even begin to understand that story about how Cannon can cut through the metal bars. I heard that a light, like a red laser beam, grew out of his arm. And that he sliced through the metal bars like he was cutting through butter. A red light. I mean, the only thing that I can think of that can cut through bars like that is like a torch, like a propane torch or something. Cutting through metal bars like butter. And what's with the red laser beam? Does that mean he secretly had a burner on him or something? And used that to burn through the bars? Still, just what kind of laser could cut through metal bars like butter? It all sounds like a kind of laser beam you'd find in those robot anime I'd loved as a kid, doesn't it? Does something like that actually exist? And how did Cannon get that laser beam? No matter how much I want to ask him, he's already been killed. Plus, even his corpse is now in the depths of the well beyond this cover. If Cannon-kun could slice through the metal bars, I'm sure he could handle this metal cover in a single swing. See, that's the interesting thing too, because like if he fell down and he had that shit on him, or like it was down there, like he could have sealed it up that way. He could have like welded it if he had like a welder or something. But like that doesn't make any fucking sense because you're cutting through. Ugh. How he's just like lugging around a fucking propane tank or some shit, like, or like whatever fuel he would need for a burner or something. I don't fucking know, man. Jan, are you good to go until the end of this hour, or do you feel like you need to go beyond that? I'm trying to figure out how to. I mean, I'm good to go until we're ready to stop, Jan. Like, it's cool. It feels like the closed room Goda-san was locked in while holding the key. Only one person can open the door, but they're locked inside. If only I had the power of Cannon-kun's, I'd be able to do something about this cover myself. Just who is Cannon-kun? He couldn't really be a non-human capable of using a strange power, right? Kiryu-san told me to believe in witches, and I even met an insane woman calling herself one. Could Cannon-kun possibly be a human on the witch's side? Or else the culprit? What the heck? Am I gonna start treating him like the culprit just because I can't find his corpse? Oh, treating him like the culprit because there's no corpse? And who was the one babbling about the suspicious being innocent? Very well. I couldn't bear having you push all the crimes on Cannon and building a human culprit theory that way. I will guarantee it with the red. Cannon is dead. Among the 5 people in Kiryu's group, he was the first to die. In short, he was the 9th victim. Since there's no corpse, I can't say for sure. The 9th victim. Valor was not able to find his corpse. No matter how he's killed with magic without a corpse, he's a definite suspect. Now that's definitely anti-fantasy. Therefore, I guarantee his death with the red truth. Now that's definitely anti-mystery. That's cute. I like that. That's funny. All right, well, if it's at the end of the next hour, then let's just push. Since there's no corpse, I can't say for sure that Cannon-kun is dead. So my whispering in red does not reach the piece of you, but it did reach you, right? At a glance, this was a mass murder due to something strange that could only be thought of as magic. Golden threads that attacked through keyholes? No. We even have testimony that something gold flew around the dining hall when the first 6 died. The 2 might have been the same weapon. Then there was the closed room murder in the garden shed, and the laser beam that could cut metal bars. And that wasn't all. There was much, much more, like that group of goat monsters. The story of a witch who could create pitfalls just by snapping her fingers. The rabbit-like demons who had fired golden threads. I think there was more, but each part was all screwed up. I couldn't possibly accept it and was forced to suspect that it was some kind of trick or mistake. But why in the world had everyone spoken with one voice, saying the same thing without contradictions in their testimony? It's not only the magic. There's Maria's mysterious death. Why Jessica knew that George Aniki had been killed. The mysterious burnt corpse that I couldn't confirm really belonged to that damn geezer. And more and more. All stuff I don't get. I tilted the wine bottle up and gulped. I don't have a clue what's going on. After dinner last night, the kids were chased out and told to go back to the guest house. And then there was a massacre in the dining hall. Kyrie-san and the rest were dropped through pitfalls and captured. Then Jessica and George Aniki were called out to take a test or whatever and killed. Even though Kyrie-san's group was able to escape the dungeon somehow, all of them got killed in the end. And at the very, very end, even Maria was killed, leaving me all alone. In short, I did nothing except stay locked up in the guest house. During that time, a huge incident occurred and ended. What can I call it except incomprehensible? I don't have a clue anymore. Now I'm nothing but a drunk. You plan on leaving only me alive? Show yourself right away and come to kill me already. It's too much of a pain, so I won't search for you. You show me your true form yourself. I won't run or hide, so come at me with arrows or bullets or whatever. I haven't gotten any sleep since yesterday, so I'm incredibly sleepy. You want to kill me? Go ahead. I decided to return to the guest house and boldly rest in bed. When I exited the kitchen and passed through the lobby, that portrait of the witch came into view. Bust through it, dude. The big clock did too. It was almost exactly 24 o'clock midnight. Then the sound of the bell rang out, proclaiming that 24 o'clock had arrived. Is it going to open? Does it open at certain hours? As I listened, I looked up at Beatrice's portrait. Exactly 24 hours ago, I met you. What were you trying to say? And where did you go? Just who in the world are you? Golden Witch Beatrice. I haven't solved a single one of the riddles surrounding you. Show yourself. And fight me. No. Then, the witch showed herself. Like a guest of honor finally appearing, she showed herself on the landing at the top of the big staircase. So, you finally show yourself. I've been kept bored for a whole day. Correct. I gave you a whole day. Was that enough for you to fully exercise the rights of the human side? Yeah. I was bored after all. I did a heck of a lot of it. NJ was a good piece. Don't you speak NJ's name. She appeared through a miracle, sacrificed herself, and gave you the tenacity required for certain victory. Don't you speak NJ's name. That brutal death was something you needed. If you hadn't seen that death, you wouldn't have grown serious. Without the wake-up call of NJ's ill-fated future, your tenacity for victory would not have been born. I told you not to speak NJ's name. In short, she was a necessary sacrifice. Ursula, this is the first proposed cutoff point, by the way. We're still good for another hour. Let's go to the second proposed cutoff point. Yeah, all right. I can't see myself stopping right now. Like, shit's getting good. Otherwise, an anger great enough to kill me would have been born in you. The rivalry between us cannot be destroyed. Damn you, Lady Berncastel. It's more fitting to call that a trump card than a piece. No matter how much a piece acts, it does not stray from the board. But no matter how much power a trump card wields, it is always thrown away after it is used. NJ was truly a good trump card for you. Don't you speak NJ's name! At Battler's angry roar, Beato finally stopped talking. You know, I don't have time to play around in a place like this anymore. Even a tie will keep NJ waiting. So, I'll break through you. Take my family and go back home. I won't waste a second playing witch games with you. In that case, what should you do? You know, don't you? Yeah. I'll beat you down. I'll blast away all witches' magic illusions and delusions. Come on, let's get started. I won't let you trick me again. This is Battler we're talking about. He's going to be tricked again. Resume the game, okay? I'll tear apart the witch's veil, concealing the outright lie you are. You talk too much. All you have to do is honestly say, I'll kill you. Yeah. If those are the words you want, I'll say them. This is the first and last wish of yours I'll lend an ear to. I thank you. I'll... Oh! I think he said, I'll kill you, but I can't tell. Very well. Let us begin, Battler. Yes, the time for the witch hunt has come. Try and chase me. Try and corner me. Try and kill me. I expect a lot from you. Try and show me what your little sister gave you in her last moments. Bring it on. For the record, I think Beatrice is bluffing. I think she knows that NJ isn't actually dead. I think that the thing that they were talking about before about her being like ripped to pieces and stuff, I don't think that actually happened. We didn't get confirmation of that. I think they're doing that to push Battler, to push his buttons, to get him to fight, to like think about this and, you know, think about what actually happened and, you know, get his fighting spirit going. And that's what Beatrice was basically saying. But another thing that I didn't really accurately reflect in the thing that I wrote at the beginning of this is that one of the really interesting things that happened in the previous scene was when Beatrice was like talking about NJ after she came back from Maria getting ejected from her golden afterlife. I forget the name of it. Golden land. Is that her avatar would change really quickly. It would be like sullen, and then she would go into like cackle fucker mode, like this face. She would have like a look of like earnest, like despair on her face, or like solemnness, and then she would like perk up, like she's playing a character. I think that that's part of the thing that's going on here. Is I think Beatrice is doing this on purpose. I think she wants to die, basically. So we'll see. Bring it on. Battler's cry burned the world with a white light, and if you opened your eyes amidst the darkness, the two of them would be seen in a rose garden. It feels like a lot of this. Oh, well, there you go. It seems like a lot of this game is basically the in Higurashi. It was, what was it? Was it Question Arc episode 3? For people who know, you know, but the fight scene, it feels like Umineko is just that, like, kind of like focused on and extrapolated out. It's just like fighting, you know. Who shall make the first move? Me. How bold! In the rose garden, beautiful rose petals danced. The color of those rose petals was red. Did the fact that they faced each other in this beautiful rose garden prove or make claim to a red single truth? That must be why the roses are red. Okay. But in the language of flowers, roses represent passion, not truth. The flower for truth is a forget-me-not, and that flower is blue. I'll bore through everything with my blue truth. From the very beginning of everything. I'll start from the very first game. Very well. Let's see what you got. Come. Koi. Here I go. I already proclaimed it, but I'll say it again. This isn't just for the murder of Dr. Nanjo in the last game. This will tear apart every scene from every game since the beginning. Ushiromiya Kinzo is already dead. So the true number of people on the island is 17. By adding in an unknown person X, that makes 18 people. By supposing the existence of this person X, the crime is possible even if all 17 people have alibis. Yeah, this is a banger. I don't know why, but it's giving... Would it be rude to say it's kind of giving Smash Bros? This feels like fight music. This feels like a fighting game music. By this, even though the number of people reaches 18, it's still possible for Culprit X to exist and carry out crimes even if all 18 people seem to have alibis. Or alibis. You can break through all of the murders in episode 1 by supposing an unknown person X. Furthermore, it's even possible to explain the mystery of Kinzo's evaporation from the closed room sealed by the receipt, by making the bold assumption that Kinzo wasn't there in the first place. Unless Beato counters with the red truth, the illusion of the witch from episode 1 has been completely smashed. This blue truth is valid. The wedge of blue truth that Battler had thrown stabbed right through the top of Beato's left foot. Was the red blood pouring out from there a protest being made by her red truth? And she just goes, ow, fuck, ow! Beato shut one of her eyes tight, enduring the unbearable pain of the blue truth that denied her. Not bad. But I mustn't be denied yet. I mustn't be killed yet. This is not yet enough. In the subsequent games, there were mysteries that couldn't be explained with that alone, right? Which mysteries? In the final stages of the second game, George took Goda and Shannon with him, barricaded them in Natsuhi's room, and was killed. The key that unlocked Natsuhi's room was locked up inside the room, and all of the remaining keys that could unlock the door were in Rosa's hand. Even if a culprit X existed, it should have been impossible to construct that closed room. The blue wedge then pierced Beato shook. She was resisting, fighting to pull it out. Yeah, this is a song. This is one of them. This is one of them songs. No, that doesn't shake my blue truth. If Culprit X were to obtain a master key, that's not even close to a closed room. No, it was impossible for the culprit to obtain one. All of the master keys were under Rosa's control. But that's meaningless if Aunt Rosa was the culprit. Aunt Rosa handed a key over to the culprit X by some method, assisting in the closed room murder. Nah, dude, it's like what I said earlier. They opened the room. It was Rosa the whole time, and she like put the fucking key on the fucking table. She like hid it in plain sight when everyone walked in. And after that, she retrieved the key by a similar method. Too naive, Beato. I'd already guessed that much at the time. Yes, you did, didn't you? The wedge that had been gradually losing its sparkle and had seemed as though it was about to be pulled out regained its strong blue again thanks to Battler's additional blue truth and dug into Beato again, eating into her foot. Beato let out a cry of anguish at that pain. Not yet. This is still nothing. Not yet. Not yet. It'd be interesting if the middle of this game is about denying Beatrice and the magic and stuff, but then realizing that Beatrice is a real person, and the thing that leads into the answer arcs is realizing that and understanding that, yes, no magic was happening, but what the fuck actually happened? What was Kinzo actually doing? Not yet, not yet. On to the third game. The 6 linked closed rooms, the murders of Aunt Rosa and Maria, Dad and the rest's deaths in the hall, the murders of Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuki. All of that can be explained if we suppose that Aunt Ava was the culprit. This argument was already won back then. And even that final riddle he proposed through Ava, the murder of Dr. Nanjo, can be explained with an 18th unknown person X. That breaks through the whole third game. Can you counter that? Of course. This much is nothing to worry about. In that case, how do you explain George's disappearance from the guest house? I shall add to the red truth. George did not go down the stairs of the guest house. He flew out through the window. Interesting. You didn't say he flew out through the window in red. In the final stages of the third game, George suddenly vanished from the second floor of the guest house. Ava, who had been on the first floor, claimed that no one had come downstairs. But because of the blue truth, George could have snuck to the first floor and escaped while Ava was busy carrying Krause's and Natsuki's corpses outside. But by adding an additional red truth, Beato had denied that possibility. To go outside without going down the staircase to the first floor, he would have had to leave by the window. But all of the windows had been locked from the inside. So what? Yeah, literally, like what? It's just like you said, he flew out the window, right? There was a lawn. He couldn't tell if he jumped down, and it was raining so hard. Any light traces would have disappeared. I'll use the red truth again. All windows and doors leading to the outside were locked from the inside. Yeah, and they can be unlocked from the inside. Furthermore, it is impossible to lock any of those from the outside. George had no technique by which to lock them. Interesting you said that without the red. I'll use more of the blue. I said it myself at the time. In that case, everything works out as long as someone locked the window after George Aniki escaped through it. It's so obvious that it was Ava and George working together, and then George went fucking AWOL and decided to off himself. I mean, that's obvious to me. Maybe it's not. I think one of the reasons Ava was fucked up is because of that. Anyway, but that's assuming that the third... I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really given much thought to the like cases for the second and third episodes. And the fourth, honestly, because we've been kind of like falling away from reality. All right. Nothing difficult about that. Can I not escape after something like this? Beato couldn't remove the blue wedge that was buried into her foot. See, this is interesting because you can just deny. You don't even need proof. You just need a theory, and you can deny Beatrice very easily. And in this way, it's like you're not coming to any real conclusions. You're just coming up with theories, all of which could be true. But like, you could just use those theories to fuck with Beatrice. And in that way, her magic is like really easily countered, really easily dismissed. Because the thing that I'm getting here is like, I'm not seeing these as solutions. I'm not seeing what's being said as like answers. I'm seeing these as pure theories, and Beatrice like having a tough time basically doing what she was doing to Battler, which is just like coming up with like counter theories and stuff. But yeah. What? No, I know what the blue truth is. What? I feel like I'm not explaining myself right. What I'm trying to say is, like, they don't necessarily have to be true. They just need to be theories that can't be, like, counteracted. What I'm trying to say is, like, the requirements for a theory to be more plausible than another theory are much more stringent than to have a theory at all, is what I'm saying. The fake witch was burned more and more by the forceful blue. There's still nothing that shakes my blue truth in any of the first 3 games. In that case, the only game that can prove you're a witch is this game, the 4th game. Since I haven't countered you with red, that is so. I shall have to prove witches using only this game. Very well. Give me everything you got. There's nothing strange about the murder of the 6 people in the dining hall. The 18th person, X, went wild with a gun and killed everyone. As for the pitfalls, there's a chance the pitfalls truly were hidden there, and it's possible to explain it using Kyrie-san's theory, supposing that poison dart shooting device X, which can knock a person out instantly, exists. The murders of George Aniki, Jessica, and those who had escaped from the dungeon can also be explained with guns, just like the dining hall. There's nothing strange about it. But I'm sure you've got a counterattack, right? Bring it on. Your greatest sword, this 18th person X, is based on the theory that Kinzo was already dead. I knew you would make that claim. That's why I took Kinzo out of his study. All members in the family conference welcomed that Kinzo, right? All of those who met at the family conference acknowledged the presence of Kinzo. Yeah, but he was clearly different. Like, he was clearly different. He fucking throttled Kraus. He, like, picked him up, dude. What? Huh? That's right. But grandfather was seriously ill, bedridden on the verge of life and death, right? If he was so worn out that he looked like a different person, maybe no one would have cared, right? I'll counter with this. That grandfather was a different person, a body double. A different person the relatives mistook for grandfather. Then I'll counter with this. No person would mistake Ushiramiya Kinzo by sight. No matter what disguise might be used, they would not mistake Ushiramiya Kinzo by sight. Then I'll use this. In the second game, when you announced with the red truth that there were 5 master keys, even though there could have been more than 5 in the first game, you changed the premises of the later games. So it's possible that Kinzo's life or death status was changed for the 4th game alone. Therefore, Kinzo's presence in the 4th game doesn't serve as proof that he was present in the previous games. Therefore, even if we suppose that the 6 murders in the dining hall were carried out by grandfather, it contradicts nothing. Then let me counter this way. Kinzo's life or death status is the same as at the start of all 4 games. The setup was not different for the 4th game alone. Repeat it. Kinzo was alive at the start time of every game. I refuse to repeat it. I won't answer, Battler. I won't give you the red truth you so desire. Damn. You're standing in my way, geezer. Are you putting yourself on the line to protect Beatrice, this most beloved witch of yours? Hey, what's up? It's me, the geezer. Swaying, that damn geezer came into view. Is he trying to be some kind of knight blocking the path between me and Beato? Battler, are you capable of surpassing me? I won't let you reach. I will not let you reach. Not the golden witch's height, you see. Your thoughtless reasoning cannot surpass even me alone. Die. Okay, bro. Oh, okay. Oh, there he goes. Huh? Kinzo's jet black cape spread as though it would swallow the world, becoming the snout of a vast black dragon that came at me, trying to swallow me in one gulp. Forced with that black dragon's roar, I calmed my breathing and closed my eyes lightly. I'll swallow you up in a single gulp. Disappear, inexperienced fool. Battler had drinks. What? Veer Ledger. Automod stopped you from saying the words Grand Dragon. Wow. Okay. Okay. All right. Veer Ledger, it will not let you say Clux, but it let Ursula Cat say KKK. Okay, all right. We're getting wildly off track from the topic. I can't help but notice that Battler is seeing a bunch of shit right now. And he already talked about drinking some of the wine. And he already said he's drunk, so... Quiet, you damn undying ghost. Oh, so you call me a ghost? So you intend to see through to the end this theory that I am already dead? That will prove fatal to you. Be swallowed up by the first twilight of the fourth game and disappear. The black dragon's vast mouth, its snout, its fangs, swallowed Battler whole. In that instant, Battler suddenly opened his eyes. Thanks, Beatrice. Your third game became a foothold for my counterattack. What? See ya, damn geezer. This is goodbye. As a basis for claiming that Kinzo was dead, even in the fourth game, I propose the following theory. Very well, come at me with all you have, my descendant. Here I go, you damn geezer. Okay, just my theory is that the name of Kinzo gets passed on as the title of the Ushiromiya family head. Ushiromiya Kinzo was already dead, and he passed that name onto someone else. Kraus? Everyone acknowledged that. That way, all of those who met at the family conference acknowledged the presence of Kinzo. There wasn't even any need for someone to disguise themselves as grandfather, because everyone acknowledged a new Kinzo. So they didn't actually mistake Kinzo by sight. As long as this theory is not denied, nothing can change the fact that you're dead. This is the final blow. Damn geezer, I demand that you repeat it. Among all of the people there, not one had multiple different names. I cannot. Rest in peace. Damn geezer, thank me. You are finally able to die. This is your requiem. Take it and drop dead. Ushiromiya Kinzo was already dead. That's right, you definitely deserve to be pitied, since whenever we find your corpse, it's always completely burnt. That was a device to hide the fact that time had passed since your death. Then you passed the name on to someone else. With this theory, even though you were dead, Kinzo was able to appear at the family conference. How's that? This is checkmate. Several dozen stakes bored into Kinzo's ghost. Their terrible destructive power wouldn't let the ghost recover again. Beatrice. Can you imagine the last thing you see in your life is fucking Battler pointing at you? Kinzo, thank you for everything. Rest in peace. I will not forget my time spent with you. Dispersing along with the shadow of the black dragon as golden flower petals scattered, Ushiromiya Kinzo became a gold-colored cyclone and disappeared. Even after death, he had fought for the sake of the woman he'd loved. There's no doubting that your love and madness were the real thing. Battler. Don't hate me. Let the dead sleep. Don't wake them. You're up next. This is the end for you, too. Beato still couldn't pull out the blue wedge that pierced her foot. She realized that she was on the verge of death. I've gone along with you a whole bunch. I think I've more than fulfilled any responsibility I had to play with you. But it's about time to finish things up. I've got a lonely little sister waiting at home. Let me take my leave with my whole family. Then kill me. In that case, try and kill me. I won't run or hide, and by now I won't even be able to avoid it. Come on, Ushiromiya Battler! You got it. With the 18-person X from the Kinzo was dead theory, everything that remained has been pierced through. Georgianiki and Jessica's deaths in the fourth game can also be explained by Culprit X. And the 5 who escaped from the dungeon and were killed, and the 2 in the gardening shed, and Maria in the end. All of those can be explained with 18th person X. There's nothing strange there at all. With this, I fully explained the culprit using humans for all games. Beatrice, this is a checkmate. Jesus fucking Christ. My head hurts. Beatrice, who couldn't dodge, had several blue stakes driven into her and was skewered. Beato grabbed at them, trying to pull them out somehow. That got me. It hurts. This'll kill me, won't it? If I don't pull these out, I'll die. I've had enough of the pain. I've had enough of the anguish. With both hands, Beato firmly grasped at one of the blue stakes. Naturally, the power of the witch denying blue truth burned her hands. Unable even to hide her tears of the pain, Beato howled and tried to pull the stakes out with all of her might. If I can't pull these out, I'll die. This is my final counterattack. I'll say it in red. You're wrong about everything, idiot. Then, Battler, how do you explain my several acts of magic? The very first time those appeared was in the second game when I fixed Maria's pumpkin marshmallow. At that time, Rosa definitely witnessed that magic. Certainly at that time, Rosa witnessed gold butterflies gathering and the fixing of a marshmallow by the miracle of magic. Rosa alone witnessing it isn't very credible, right? That's why I increased the number of witnesses to the uppermost limit later on, which is what happened in the last game. The summoning of my minions and brutal murders due to magic. All of those were witnessed by a great many people. That is itself proof that my magic exists. How do you explain that, Ushiromiya Battler? Stalemate. What? Magic exists because magic exists. Didn't the rules of our Brawn Tube trial say that you couldn't use that kind of argument? Yeah, you're right. No matter who or how many people witnessed magic, that cannot become proof of magic's existence. Whether all the magic you've shown exists or not, I can ignore it all and explain things with humans. That's my undeniable right. Am I wrong? At those words, the blue stakes let out an even brighter light, knocking my hands away. Seems I can't pull them out after all. As Battler is now, even if I pull up a witness for each individual bit of magic and demand an explanation, he'll probably use some kind of move to deny all of them. Not just the magic with the marshmallow I showed Rosa, but all the miracles of magic. So I can no longer even claim to be a witch without questioning him about something like how a marshmallow was fixed. I'm in such an inferior position that I must fight over such trivialities. It may be impossible for me. I know that. This was to be a game without victory from the very beginning. So it was only natural that the day of my defeat would eventually come. Have I fought? Up until today, just to lose to Battler. I began the game thinking I might be able to win. Even if I wouldn't be able to win easily, I believed that in a game repeating endlessly, a miracle would eventually occur. After all, I had certain willpower on my side, an unwavering desire to win with certainty. However, I've now lost that miracle completely. And that certain willpower resides in Battler, leaving me certainly without even a 1 in a million chance at a miracle. Or perhaps I should say I've been left without a miracle or certainty. I will have no victory, and no end through a tie. The only resolution allowed me is to continue on resisting until defeat is given to me in this game. That's right. I'm fighting only to be killed by Battler. I looked into Battler's eyes. That which was reflected inside them wasn't me. The figures of the little sister waiting for his return and the family he had to bring back were reflected in those eyes. To him, my existence is already not even that of an individual, obviously. From the very beginning, he has been trying to deny the individual that I am. Yes, that last game. Sure was fun. I was only tricking him a bit, but for just a short period of time, I felt like we understood each other, and that was fun. That's right. I should have made my move then. I should have continued for eternity with Battler still totally fooled. But that's just no good, right? That just wouldn't be true victory. Is this checkmate, Beatrice? Beato had been run through with several blue stakes skewered over and over to the ground while still standing. Because of that, she wasn't even able to fall over, and still looking up into the sky was sewn in place. That tragic form might have been a fitting end for the cruel witch who had endlessly toyed with 18 people's lives and who had killed constantly for hundreds and thousands of years. Gently, as though someone was mourning over something, rain began to fall. Amid that rain, Beato was soaked and crucified. Is it over, Beato? Can't even let out a squeak. Not yet. You aren't a woman who will let things end just like this, with just this. Don't be ridiculous. How can you look at this and think that it isn't over? Quickly, deliver the final blow. Just say it with your blue truth. According to this, Witches do not exist. Say it. Just say it. With that single blow, just put a stop to my breathing. It's useless. So, I'm just going to throw this out there real quick. There's a lot happening. I don't think all of it's true. I think that he's right on a few things. But mainly, I think that I don't think he wants... I think he... I said it a while ago, but like Beatrice seems like they were a real person. Unless Rosa was lying. Beatrice seems like a real person who really existed. And was really like I don't know what's happening. I don't know what happened with Kinzo. But it definitely seems like she was in a golden cage. Like she was trapped. She was a child with childlike sensibilities who maybe even in that way was a witch because she just didn't know so much. And you know how like things can be magical if you just don't know how they work. You know, I forget what it's called, but like, yeah, technology, was magic, or I forget the exact saying, but basically like if you don't know how something works, it's technology of a sufficient like advanced stage is indistinguishable from magic. So like in that way, she didn't know anything. She was purposefully kept from knowing things by Kinzo. It's very possible that she thought of herself and the people around her as a witch. And so to deny her as a witch would be to deny her. It would be like denying Maria as a witch, would be denying the parts of her existence that could not be understood without witches. So I don't think Battler's going to deny her. I think Battler is potentially going to leave her like this. But I think that this is exactly why I said early on when we started playing, I think it was in the first Tea Party episode where I said, like, you got to keep a little bit of magic. You got to believe in a little bit of magic because it helps you understand people's perspectives. And in this situation, it would really be useful to understand it understand things from Beatrice's perspective. Because I think that that's what she ultimately wants. She wants to be understood. And I think that that's what her ghost is trying to tell, like her, like the remnants of her, the scattered, like sort of like evidence of her life throughout that island. She wants to be known, you know? So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. Ho. So you would expose me to even further shame. Isn't it settled already? Stand up. Our brawl still isn't over. Not over, you say? And this would be a really interesting thing. I don't know if they're going to do this at the end. I don't know if that's where things are going to go. But it would be really cool if Beatrice and Battler combined powers, not in the episode 3 way where Beatrice is ultimately fucking with Battler, but in a way where in order to really understand who the actual culprit is and why they were doing what they were doing would be to actually invite Beatrice to help solve it, to help figure it out. We're coming to the next cutoff soon. After this would be another 90 minutes. Yeah, no, we're cutting it off at the next one. I feel like we're at a really good stopping point. Not over, you say? That just now wasn't you losing. You just stopped and gave up. Isn't that enough? Wouldn't giving up mean your victory? You should return to your little sister. Right away. Just throw me away. Right here. Didn't I tell you? I won't run away. And I won't let you run away. Just who are you?
そして一体
And what in the world is it that
何
you
が望
want?
みだったんだ。
それが知
If
り
you
た
want to
い
know, why don't you just try to
そなた
try your
の
favorite move?
18番でも試せばよい。いいではないか。
Isn't it better this way?
ただの
With me as a mere delusion,
幻想。
an illusion?
それで
Isn't that
いいではないか。
enough?
全然ダメだぜ。
Zenzen Damida. It's all
俺
useless.
はお前を
I won't
逃がさない。
let you run away.
俺はお前を
I'll break through
こ
you.
のまま逃がしてなるもんか。
How could I let you run away like this?
お前をうや
I
む
won't let you run back to the darkness of illusions while you're still all hazy like this.
打ち破る。
I'll break through you. I'll break through you
だから
completely.
立て。
So stand up.
弱々しいふりなんか
Don't
するな
act all frail like that.
お前はまだ何
You're still hiding several moves.
俺にはわかる。
I can tell. Why won't you just let me escape?
親父を
Dad,
おふくろ
Mom,
も
and
そ
NJ.
していとこのみんなや
All the cousins and all the relatives
そして
and all the servants.
お前はあれ
You
だけ
toyed
も
with
てあ
them
そん
so
で
much and
殺した
killed them.
その非道を俺は絶対に忘
I
れ
definitely
ない
won't forget,
許さない
won't forgive that inhumanity.
俺の肩にはよ
I can still feel NJ's arms on my shoulders.
俺は
I won't forgive you for your inhumanity.
だからそんなことで
So I won't let you get away like this. Battler's eyes burned with the flames of hatred. The time had long since passed during which pitiful behavior would have earned his compassion. After being tricked once, Battler will never sympathize with me again.
狼と羊
Instead of the
の
wolves
パ
and
ズル
sheep
どころ
puzzle,
これじゃ
this is like the boy who cried wolf, isn't it?
狼どうすればいい
What
ん
am
だ
I
ろう
supposed to do?
どうすれ
What should I do?
負けを認め
Is fighting endlessly only to avoid admitting defeat a fitting endless torture for the endless witch?
バトラに勝利を与えぬために
Is endlessly harassing Battler to avoid giving him victory also part of being the endless witch?
無限の魔女だ
It's so
こ
sad.
んなのが
Is this
無限の魔法
what the endless magic is? I've
やだ
had enough.
魔女たち
I've
無限に
had enough
されるなんても
of endlessly being toyed with by
う
witches.
やだ勝ちはなく
I will have no victory and no
引
tie.
き分けならば
In that case, there's only one result that can release me.
魔女の道に落
Since
ちた
the time I succumbed to the path of witches,
悪魔と契約をした
since the day I made that contract with demons,
末路は悲劇
it was
で
promised that I would meet my end through tragedy, was it not?
約束されていたではないか
All right, so I guess this is the halfway point. Correct me if I am wrong, but it seems that I have been told to stop playing right now. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and give this a little save. I guess this will be the start of page 3. All right. Well, there you have it. Yeah, we're getting a lot of stuff to think about. Yeah, if anyone has any questions they want to ask me in the chat, go ahead. But yeah, so far a lot of the stuff that I thought was going to happen is happening. I'm definitely fascinated with Beatrice and what her story is, and I'm really hopeful that we're going to get that. Like, if not soon, then in the answer arcs. Why do you think Beatrice is doing any of this? I don't. I never did. I don't think that I have never thought that Beatrice was the one going around killing everybody. I think that that's one of the main things that Battler is incorrectly assuming. I think that people may be killing in her name. May have... I think that she has, like, sort of represented magic. But people have been deploying magic and using magic to kind of, like, say that it was her, but like, or like, you know, kill people in her name, but like, I don't think she ever, I mean, I think it's heavily implied at this moment that she's dead. And like, I mean, that's why she's trapped, because she can't do anything. She has no agency of her own. So like that manor probably smelled bad by now. Yeah, rum rusher, yes, 1000%. That thing smells real bad. That's a real stanky. The Kuadorian, Kua Smellian. She's trying to take the credit for it in this metaphysical space. I think Ursula Cat. I think that she is trying to take credit for it. I think that that's what she was kind of raised to do. I don't know what I really mean by that, but like in many ways I think Kinzo groomed her to be this person. And I don't know if it's like Kinzo's fault explicitly, or if it's a product of what Kinzo did. But I think that Beatrice is like, I think she's punishing herself. I think you see this a lot, and the reason I say this is because I you know, this happens a lot with trauma, is that people, especially childhood trauma, people blame themselves. And one of the reasons that kids blame themselves for horrible shit that happens to them when they're kids is because it's like a byproduct of them being a child. Like they can't understand that the people who are in charge of their lives would ever not have their best interests at heart. They would always be like helping them and like helping them navigate life. It's why it's such a betrayal. It's why it's so fucked up, is because kids will internalize that and blame themselves, because it's like, well, why didn't mom feed me today? Well, mom feeds me most of the time, so it has to be something that I did. I did it. I'm the bad one. And I think that, especially with like CPTSD, it becomes a larger problem. Like that kind of grows and sort of infests your mindset, and it can really fuck people up. And I'm seeing that a bit with Beatrice. I get the vibe that she blames herself for things that she shouldn't be blaming herself for. And I just don't know why. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really fascinated in like, what the fuck is going on with her? Like, why? Like what? I just, that's one of the reasons why I'm like, I don't think Battler could deny her, because like, I think he wants to know her first. And I don't think he'd be able to deny her anyway. Broken Bee, great stream. Thanks for capturing that bittersweet feeling of trying to understand Beatrice still. It's hard looking back at that perspective with truth in mind, and you're able to give it a great insight into why it is, into what is like. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for saying that. Hey, I have, yeah, right here too. Yeah. Do you think that's why she gets along so well with Maria? I think that she, yes, I think that one of the reasons she gets along so well with Maria is because she can see that. I think that I mean, ultimately Beatrice is a product of Kinzo, whether biologically the case or not. Like, she was subjected to that upbringing, much like Maria is being extrapolated out with Rosa. So Rosa is like more of a, I think Rosa has a lot of, I think all of Kinzo's children have a bit of Kinzo in them. And I think that Beatrice can see the the damage that has continued. Because I didn't say it earlier, I'll say it now. Like if I were to guess, I mean, it's pretty obvious right now that the theme of Umineko is what is it called? Familial trauma, or like, I forget the exact word for it, but basically like passing down trauma, generational trauma. That's what I think it is. Generational trauma happening in this way, affecting all these different people. And I think that Beatrice can see that in Maria. I think that that Beatrice can see the sort of lasting damage that Kinzo has done. I think she may be denying it for herself, but it's one of those situations where it's like, a doctor being like, do as I say, not as I do, Anyway, Kinzo tried to capture Beatrice and consume her completely, but her essence is leaking out in all of his descendants. I mean, yeah. Tiny Tachyon, oh awesome, I tuned into this bobvid stream just in time to get a summary of what it's all about. Now I know what Umineko is. Shit. Fuck. Oh no. I did it. No. I hope, I mean, you're probably joking, but I don't think that gives it away. Also, I don't even know if that's actually it. I think it is, but who knows? I don't know. We're not even halfway through this game, and I don't know anything. It's all hazy. It's all over the place. But anyway, Jan, at this point, do you think Beatrice? Do you think the Beatrice that Battler is speaking to in this scene is more representative of a person or an idea, broadly speaking? I think that one of the things that's happening here, I think, is this seems to be more of the person that Beatrice is, more of a sort of human person, something that Battler... I mean, that's the interesting aspect of this entire game, is what's actually a product of Battler's thought processes versus what's real, I think that's one of the major sort of things that we need to extrapolate later on. Oh, Tiny Tachyon. Oh, this story has themes of generational trauma. Is less spoilers, more of a hook that makes me interested in this game. Yeah, you should absolutely play it. It takes a while, but yeah, no, I'm having a great time. This or Higurashi. Highly recommend Higurashi. Higurashi is a fucking trip, and yeah, wowie. But yeah. I almost said whether I like Higurashi more than this or not. I'm going to hold off on that one. I'm not even halfway through this, and I can't be raiding shit like this. Anyway, trying to just get a hold on where you're at with that, because you've spoken in both directions at different times. Well, yeah, I think a lot of the time people are too, and by people I don't mean you specifically, I mean in general, people are... They're way too like, oh, do you believe in this theory? Well, this theory is contradictory to this theory, so you can't believe in both. Like, you can't have cognitive dissonance when it comes to a theory on a video game. And here's what I'll say to that. Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. You can believe in a theory and then also believe in another theory that's contradictory, because you can believe in theories more than others. You can be like, I have more faith in this theory being the thing, but I can understand where this theory is coming from, and I can see it also working and fitting in. I can also say that sometimes you can have, multiple theories that make total sense. And work in that way, it's not cognitively dissonant. So anyway, I forgot that you're coming into this after existing on video game forums and other theory spaces. Yeah, rip. I'm coming from a fandom that believes that where some people believe that all the games are about circumcision. So, and by some I mean one person, a single person, the one guy, the one weirdo online. Anyway, all right. I think that's it. Then we're going to go ahead and call it. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for hanging out. I think this is, this is the end of part 1. We're going to go to part 2. And I believe I'm going to try and do that tomorrow. I need to do a bunch of work, but I should be able to do that tomorrow. And if I can, then that means that we're going to be doing a book club. We're doing, after the next episode, we're doing 2 book clubs. One that will cover this segment of the last segment of episode 4. And then we're going to do a book club for all of the question arcs of Umineko. And that's going to be a big boy stream. That's going to be a big one. That's going to be fun. We're going to, I'm going to try and announce that well in advance. It's all kind of predicated on when we can stream the last part of episode 4. But once we get that done, then it's off to the races. And after that, taking a little break to work on some other content. And then we'll be coming back and finishing up the answer arcs of Higurashi. So, hope you're all excited. I am. And catch you all in the next one, okay? All right. Bye.